a new platform. I've been using Zencaster forever. Uh, this is Riverside.fm, and it's a podcasting platform and more. It supports live streaming, which is why I made the shift. And I'm going to use this to do some live streaming to YouTube as well as Substack. We'll see how that goes. We'll find out if it works. And if it does, I'll use it for future shows because I do have three different podcasts that I do and video that I share to YouTube. If you don't know me, I'm Larry Cornett. Briefly, my background. I got a PhD in psychology. Didn't want to go into teaching. So my advisor was really into software. He had spent some time in Silicon Valley and made some introductions, and it was off and running. I went to Silicon Valley to do software design. So I joined IBM, did some design and testing and things like that there. I worked at Apple, was a designer there. Um, During the early years, I had somebody on my podcast recently. We talked about that, kind of the mid 90s. And I was there when Steve came back, which was an exciting time. Joined a startup. That startup got acquired, kind of started my very first business. So I'm going to talk a lot about solopreneurship, but that's when I started my first business. It was a small design agency. Did that during the dot-com boom. And then everything crashed. So I was like, okay, now what? And I returned to the corporate world. Was at eBay, and that's when I got into management, people management. I was a design leader there. And then I went to Yahoo. And that's the first time I became an exec. I was a vice president at Yahoo, initially a vice president of design, and then later product management. So I was the VP of consumer products for Yahoo Search. And in 2010, I left my corporate career behind. So I started another business, mostly doing consulting. Created my own startup and hired a team and raised money and everything and did all that. And then about 9 years ago, I started doing coaching formally. I've been doing it for a long time, um, helping people with their careers, navigating problems at work, trying to figure out what's going on with my boss, my coworkers, all that kind of stuff. How do I get promoted? Helping people get jobs, and a lot of it over lunch or coffee or dinner and drinks, that kind of thing. But 9 years ago, I decided to formally launch a coaching business. And I did it very lean. I talk about this all the time. I think it was just a LinkedIn post. It's like, hey, I'm going to be doing some career coaching. If you're interested, reach out. We can talk about it. And that started the whole thing kind of running. And so I do career and leadership coaching. I've started doing business coaching as well. So I help people make that transition from the corporate world, having a 9 to 5 job, into running their own business. I'm a big believer in solopreneur businesses. I've done it all. I've done bigger businesses and hired teams, but I like solopreneur businesses and lifestyle businesses, which means you're working to support yourself and your family, but it's not the center of your life. Your life is the center of your life. Because it's really important to me. I regained my health and my relationships and all that kind of stuff, which I think everybody needs to focus on that too. And then recently doing a little bit of life coaching. So I guess the umbrella is empowerment coaching. I talk a lot about helping people build a more invincible life, which is you are the one who's in control. You're the one who's making decisions. You're the one who's deciding when you work, where you work, how you work. You're in more control with your life, your relationships, your health, all that kind of stuff. So it's really about that. A few years ago, I started writing a book about this. So I've been releasing the chapters slowly but surely to my community and through the newsletters for years now. And I have a draft chapter 1, that's up for people to read. They can download that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this in a bit, but one of the things that I've done that I realize is really important is trying to split everything into three different newsletters and three different communities, because I heard from people when I was doing the career community, which I built initially on Slack. People didn't want to hear about entrepreneurship. So they're like, stop talking about starting a business. And I don't want to hear about you recovering your health and how important exercise is. I just want to talk about my career. I just want to get a job. And then for the business people, they really wanted to focus on building their business. They don't want to hear about searching for a job. They don't want to hear about job interviews. They just want to hear about sales and marketing and business models and pricing and things like that. And then all the stuff that's a little more kind of human centered, I put under a life community in a life newsletter, which is around living a great life. It's about the invincible life stuff. So, taking care of your health, your relationships, gaining power back in your life, which does influence everything else. If you're feeling confident and empowered and you can get up and do public speaking and you're comfortable doing that and marketing yourself and all that kind of stuff, it makes it easier to get a job. It makes it easier to start a business. It makes it easier to do sales, all that stuff, right? So, but I know people don't necessarily mingle those worlds as much as I do. And so that's why I have the Invincible Career newsletter and podcast, the Invincible Solopreneurs newsletter and podcast, and Invincible Life. It's a newsletter and podcast as well. So it keeps me busy. And then I made a shift a few years ago. So on Substack, if you're familiar with it, there is the option to have paid subscriptions. And initially I tested the model that a lot of people do, which is let's have extra content or premium content. So you get an extra newsletter every week. It's slightly different, maybe higher value, whatever it might be. So I tried that. I tested that for a while and it was okay. You know, some people wanted to do that. But I did hear feedback that people are like, I get too many emails. I'm falling behind on the homework. I can't keep up with it, because a lot of it was putting coaching homework into the weekly premium newsletter, that type of thing. And they just were falling behind and feeling overwhelmed and stressed. And so I made a shift and said, if you're a premium subscriber, this really means you get access to my private community. So I moved everything to Discord. Slack kind of isn't as good as it used to be. It got acquired. I don't want to use Teams. I don't want to use any of that stuff. So I use Discord, which has a little bit of a learning curve, but I like it a lot. There's a lot of great things about Discord that are possible with text chat, video, audio, you name it. There's all kinds of flexibility there. So people who are premium subscribers to Invincible Career or Life or Solopreneurs get invited to one of those three communities. And they get access to office hours. So I have office hours every Monday. And then I do a live call every month. So I'm doing, in about an hour, a Zoom call with my community. And we're going to talk about the power of video for marketing, whether you're someone looking for a job or trying to promote yourself and grow your career, or you're a business owner, right? Video is undeniably something that's really important for getting yourself out there, like I'm doing right now. Hello. So we're going to talk about that in about an hour. So we do that live call. For a long time, well, initially these were free communities, and then I locked them down and made them paid communities, because one of the lessons I learned, this was a lesson from Piero Midyar, the founder of eBay, is that even a very small price of admission keeps out bad actors. And so what you'd see happen if you've run a community, a free community, I'm sure you've seen this, bad actors show up because there's no barrier to entry. So they come in and they spam your community, or they put bad things in your community, or they just come in and troll your community. And so I was getting a little bit of that. And I decided to lock things down and make them paid access only. But that also restricts greatly the size of the community and the engagement and things like that. So I'm going to test this. I announced that I'm opening the communities back up for the most part. There's still going to be stuff that's for just the premium members, obviously, like the office hours and the live video that we're doing. So I'm going to test it, that there's free access if you want to join the career community, the business community, or the life community. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if people can behave and be supportive. I have some very strict rules. I want people to be kind to each other. I want them to be supportive. I want them to encourage each other and give feedback and really just help each other. We need a supportive community. We get enough stuff from social media that's not so positive. So I don't want any of the negative stuff of social media to creep into the communities. So I don't tolerate sexism. I don't tolerate racism. I don't tolerate homophobia or transphobia. I don't tolerate people trying to spam people and try to sell them stuff and trick them into stuff and all kinds of stuff. I don't want that kind of fraudulent stuff happening. So we'll see. We'll see if it the works the way I want to. But if you want to check that out, I posted that to newsletter.invinciblecareer.com, newsletter.invinciblesolopreneurs.com, and newsletter.invinciblelife.me. Could not get the .com. If you go to Larry Cornett, LarryCornett.coach, you can find all this stuff. So I've made a central website for myself that gives access to everything, including the free download of my book, uh, top articles, ways to talk with me about coaching. I do offer a free initial call. So if you want to kick the tires on what it's like to have career coaching or job search coaching, business coaching, life coaching, whatever, there's a free initial call. So you can get an assessment of how we fit. I try to help you as much as possible in that call. I'm not going to make a sales pitch. I don't do that. It's a bad habit I think a lot of people learn from sales coaches. It's like push for the sale, limited time only. And I don't do that. I just try to help you and see if we're a fit. And if we're a fit and you want to continue working together, great. If you got all you need from that call, great. I helped you out. That's fantastic. So you can definitely do that, and you can get some help and see if it's right for you. So that's kind of the information about me, my background, 20 plus years in tech and being a leader, coaching people, coaching teams, leading teams, and now I'm coaching individuals. Do a little bit of corporate consulting, but not as much as I used to. It's mostly helping individuals. So I mentioned the book. So you can find at LarryCornett.coach a link to my books. I have other books. I have daily journals and stuff like that. I'm a huge believer in journaling and getting thoughts out into the world every day, or out for yourself, out of your brain, I should say. But I have the first chapter of the book that I'm going to publish. I've got it all written, so I spent years writing it. And now I'm in the middle of editing, about halfway through editing. And so I've got to finish editing, probably hire somebody to take a look at it, as well as getting the cover art and all that kind of stuff. I got to get the cover designed. But you can get the first chapter. And I've been working with someone who's building an interesting AI platform, I should say. And I've known this individual for a long time, very legitimate, very smart. It's different. It's different than a singular platform. So it's different than ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude, and it leverages a lot from all the different platforms. But really what we are building, and we're working together on this, I'm trying to help him be a beta for this. You can think of it almost like an AI companion for a book. So when you write a book and you release it, you will often create a workbook. And so the workbook helps people work through some of the stuff that you're sharing. In the case of this book, helping you build this invincible life. What does that really mean? And it's kind of going through all the different aspects of life, including your job and job searches, confidence, public speaking, your health, your relationships, building a business, whatever it might be, right? There's all the stuff that's involved with that. So it is using my first chapter, this draft chapter, to then have this engagement with you where you can talk and ask questions, and it's going to ask you questions, and it's going to build essentially a blueprint for you to say, okay, I heard you. You answered the questions, and it probes and it kind of goes deeper, and it's really interesting. It's become quite good over the last month or so. But it builds this blueprint that helps you think about, how do I move forward with some action steps to help me start planning my own invincible life, to get power back in my life, to feel empowered in my life. I'm asking people, I reached out to a few of you who are subscribers, some of the folks through the newsletter, some through my community, and some personally, to try it out, to kind of kick the tires on it, see where it's working, see where it's not working. How does it feel? Would you want to use something like this? Should I continue with it? Does it make sense to use this for the rest of the chapters of the book? Is it going to be something that would be useful for people? I don't know. I'd like the feedback. He'd like the feedback, so he can continue tuning the platform and making it better. It's interesting. If you follow me, you know that I'm a bit cynical about AI. There's definitely some great platforms and some ones that I use, and I've talked about how I use them. There's some that are a bit smoke and mirrors, and there's some that are questionable ethically. A lot of them are questionable ethically. What is interesting about this is it's not taking content from anyone else. It's not stealing people's art and creating its own art. It's not stealing their content from stuff they've published or their books or whatever it might be, or their music. It's not doing any of that. It's using my content. So it's built on my book, on the chapter that I wrote that I have as a preview. And it's using that framework and being tuned by this guy and by myself to be a bit of an assistant, not really a full-blown coach, because I don't want it to replace me as a coach, but essentially trying to help people get to the point where they have something useful. And if they want to continue, they could talk with me. They could set up a call with me, that free call that I mentioned. So that's the interesting thing that I like about it and why I was intrigued, because this guy is very ethical and I like him. It's on being built on my content. It's very vertical, very focused. So I'm not stealing other people's work. I'm not stealing other people's creations. So that's different. I'm choosing as the author to partner with this person and to build this AI companion for the book that I wrote without AI. I did not write this book with AI. That might be a question that people have. I wrote this book before there was AI available. Maybe in these hidden labs, obviously it's been built for a long time. And machine learning systems have been around forever. We had those in search even. But I wrote the book myself. I'm editing it now. And now this is going to be a companion. So it's not replacing the book. It's not rewriting the book. It's not doing anything like that. It's essentially saying, okay, let's have some Q&A and some deeper probing questions to help build a report, kind of this blueprint based on the content of that chapter and the questions and answers and the way you talk with it and the answers you provide. Like, what does it mean for you? What would make you happy to get up on Monday morning and go to work? What do you want to keep from your life and from your work that you feel like is important? What do you want to get rid of? What do you want to leave behind? What is your vision of the future for yourself? If you look out 10, 20 years, where do you want to end up professionally and personally? What does that life look like for you? What do you feel called to do? What do you think your purpose in life is? What do you want to do to make a difference in this world? What do you want your legacy to be? So there's a lot of questions that go kind of deep like that. And yeah, we'd love to get feedback from all of you. See what you think, see how we can improve it. I have no idea if this live stream's working. I'm kind of talking to myself. So if it is working, I apologize for acting weird while I'm doing it. There is a public chat that does not seem to be working. So it could just be a matter of people just aren't kind of set up in the live stream. So who knows? Who knows if this is working? Who knows if you're hearing me? I will have a video artifact, hopefully, from the output of this, and I can upload that as well. It's going to be on my YouTube channel. It'll be on Substack. And that way you can take a look at it, give me some feedback, let me know if you were listening, if you had any questions. But key takeaway, you know who I am now. You know what I do. If any of that resonates with you, if you're interested in career development, working on a business, building your own business, or kind of looking at your life and reinventing yourself and building a better life for yourself, I have 3 different newsletters, podcasts, and communities that are all about that. And there's people that can help be supportive and encourage you, not just me. There's other people in the community too. So check those out. Love to have you download the first chapter of my book. So if you go to larrycornett.coach, you can find that chapter. Download it, read it, and then it will make sense when you start interacting with the companion. So if you're interested, I sent it out through an email list, the newsletter. I think I'm going to post online as well in a bit after we make sure it's working the way we expect it to. And then you can sign up. You can sign up and say, yeah, I'd love to test this thing. And then we can send you the link to try it out. Yeah, it's not for everybody. I know. I have mixed feelings about AI myself, but this one's feeling kind of good because it is, like I said, based off my content. It's not taking other people's content. So interesting, different approach. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear it. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment. You can send me a message. do whatever. I love hearing from people. But I will go ahead and wrap this up and enjoy the rest of your Monday. Take care.